So, we're living in the age of AI, right? But how do great ideas actually get discovered? Today, we're going to break down a brand new discipline that's designed to answer that very question: answer engine optimization, or AEO for short. If you want your voice to be heard in this new world, you really need to understand the shift. Let's just jump right in with a really important question. Think about it. When someone goes to ChatGPT and asks a question about your industry, whose name pops up in the answer? If it's your competitors, or maybe even worse, if you have no idea what shows up, well, you're facing a brand new and pretty urgent visibility problem. So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll dive into that new visibility problem. Then we'll define what AEO actually is. After that, we'll compare it to the traditional SEO that we all know, and we'll wrap up with why this is so critical to be thinking about right now. Okay, so what is the core challenge here? Well, the way we find information has been completely turned on its head, and it's creating a new kind of invisibility for even some of the most well-known leaders and companies out there. For the last, 20 years, the playbook was pretty simple: SEO. The whole goal was to climb up that list of blue links on Google. But AI answer engines, they've completely rewritten the rules. See, they don't give you a list of options anymore. They give you one answer, the answer, and they cite the source they believe is the most authoritative. So if you're not that source, you're basically invisible. And look, this isn't just some fluffy marketing issue. This is a real core business risk. I mean, think about it. Your competitive positioning is now defined by who AI decides is the authority. When investors are doing their due diligence or your board is trying to figure out your market influence, you bet they're using these tools. The best talent, they vet leaders this way. Even closing those big enterprise deals can hinge on this kind of credibility. In this new world, being invisible has serious bottom-line consequences. So if the old playbook is totally obsolete, what's the new one? That brings us, of course, to the solution. So what is AIO, really? It's the deliberate practice of setting up your content, your entire digital presence, really, so that AI systems look at you and say, yep, that's a trusted source, that's an authority, we're going to cite them. The goal here isn't just to be found anymore, it's to be the answer. All right, so how does this new thing stack up against the SEO we're all so familiar with? It's really crucial to see this as a major strategic evolution, not just, a few new tactics to learn. This table here breaks it down perfectly. The goal shifts from just ranking high on a page to becoming the cited source in the actual answer. Totally different game. The tactics? They move away from that narrow focus on keywords to building much broader authority signals, what Google calls EEAT. That's experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. And finally, the audience isn't just humans anymore. You're now creating content for machines to understand and then deliver to humans. And this next point, this might be the biggest change of all. In AEO, the author is just as important as the article. See, these answer engines don't just scan the words on the page. They evaluate who wrote them. Your digital footprint, your history of expertise, your credentials, all of that is now a critical ranking factor. In the age of AI, trust is paramount, and you, the author, are the source of that trust. This brings us to our final and maybe most important section: urgency. Why is this a conversation for today's meeting and not something you can push to next year's strategy session? Here's the kicker. Because AEO is such a new discipline, the field is wide open. The authority signals that AI relies on, like a consistent, long-term history of expert content, they compound over time. So those who start building their narrative infrastructure now, the digital proof of their expertise, they're going to create a competitive moat that will be incredibly difficult for others to cross later on. This has always been true for building influence in general, but it has never been more operationally critical than it is today. Waiting now means you're basically letting your competitors become the default answer in your own industry. So, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Is your narrative infrastructure ready for the age of AI? Are your expertise and your company's stories structured in a way that these new systems can actually find, trust, and cite you? Because the AI that will define visibility for the next decade is being trained right now on the content that's available today. The time to act is now.